Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Where in the world am I? This is Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jumbo House, and out there, African Safari, where they actually have real animals from the African Serengeti just moseying around for your enjoyment. This is a beautiful place. If you ever get the chance to check it out, I would recommend doing so. Anyway, today we're taking a look at a turntable I've wanted to review for a number of years. It's the Soundburger from Audio-Technica. You're not going to want to miss this. Finally got my hands on this thing. I just broke down and bought it the other day. I couldn't stand it anymore. I've been wanting one of these for a long time. If you're not aware, it was a product of the 80s. There were two versions. There was the Mr. Disc version that was in the United States and the Soundburger that was sold overseas. For whatever reason, the new versions have been named the overseas naming convention of Soundburger, but it's the same product essentially. They brought this back in 2022, Audio-Technica did, as an anniversary product for the original launch. It sold out within minutes. It was so popular that they have now since decided to make this a production item. You could just buy it anytime you want, and that's the version I have. So this is the regular version. ATSB 727 Soundburger, very portable turntable from Audio-Technica. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Like I keep saying, I'm very excited. I love this. I love the form factor. I love the idea. I do have the Crosley Revolution, I think it's called. Look at that. That is so cool. Even the inside of the box looks cool. And that's interesting. It's got like, look at that. I'm going to zoom in. You can see like coffee cup with the record, a speaker with the record, an alarm clock, a book, a whale, the shoe, a bird. That's weird. The Crosley version is interesting. It works okay, but it's got some wow and flutter issues due to the fact that the platter on that one is plastic. And when you have such a small platter, you really do need it to be metal. Okay, so we've got a cable, audio cable, and this is going to be the USB-C, as it is battery powered. And the unit itself, gently pulling it out. And the way I solve the wow and flutter problems on the Crosley, this thing is literally the size of a shoebox, is to put a full-size record. The wow and flutter is only noticeable on that one if you're using a 7-inch record. So as long as you put a larger record under that, it's fine. It does the job. Okay, but this is the original, right? This is the OG. And here it is in all of its glory. Let's take a moment to enjoy the peel off of the very statically charged plastic from there and from around here as well. It is very cool. It's beautiful. It's got good weight to it. It doesn't feel light and flimsy. It's definitely heavier than the Crosley, and I'll do a side-by-side here in a little bit. Where do we start? So, yeah, I mean, this thing's just so cool. Let's start over here. I'm going to zoom in. So we've got two buttons here. We've got a power switch and a speed selector switch. It is 33 and 45. These both look to be like electronic buttons versus mechanical switches. There's the branding right there. Wireless stereo disc player system, ATSB 727 by Audio-Technica. On the back here, we've got the carrying handle fabric. A little screw here. I'm assuming that's going to be a transport screw. So let's go ahead and back that guy out. That looks like something that's supposed to be removed. Next thing. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to set that aside. Also on the back side here, we do have a line output and the USB charging port. Looks like a little punch out there that's not being used. Let's just kind of go around the unit here. We've got a latch here. That'll probably be to release the lid. And coming around this side, Bluetooth pairing button. Hinges, and we're back around front. On the bottom, there's the motor for the turntable itself. If I remember correctly, this uses a platter and two pulleys, kind of like two flywheels. The feet are interesting. They're like fuzzy on the bottom, but they're also spongy and rubbery. That's really, really interesting. And here we've got a compartment with screws. That'll probably be the battery. That's good that it's replaceable. And then this is good news too. 2 trim pots for the speed control. So interesting that that's going to be on the PCB instead of the motor directly. So there is some sort of logic controlling the speed. It's not just a dumb motor system. Okay, I'm going to pull the latch there and open the lid. And when I do that, you can kind of see the inner workings there. There is the back of the tone arm, and the tone arm will lift off, come over to a resting position here where it clicks in very nicely. This functions as a 45 adapter and a stabilizer. You can put this on top of the disc, and it fits tight over the spindle. And then you can close the lid while the disc is spinning. Otherwise, you can just set that aside. But yeah, the platter is going to be a huge deal because it needs to be stable. This is a metal platter, so that's really good news. You can feel the weight and the drag to it. That's what's going to prevent the wow and flutter, because when this is too light, it's just not enough mass inertia. As I always say, there's not enough mass inertia for stable playback. So having a metal platter is huge. Also, this is a rubber piece on top, and then the spindle rotates as well. So that's essentially it. So let's go ahead and do a couple of things. Let's I do want to show the cartridge. It is an Audio-Technica 3600L, and it's permanently affixed, but you can replace the stylus. It's a great cartridge. Got a cantilever made out of carbon fiber. It's a dual moving magnet. It sounds great. So yeah, this is a great little setup. I'm really excited about this. So let's put it through its paces. All right, let's start by checking the speed consistency. I've got my Hudson Hi-Fi stroboscopic disc. By the way, these are on sale right now, as of yesterday anyway, when last time I looked. The Hudson Hi-Fi strobe discs, $15 on Amazon. So somebody reached out to me, which is kind of what prompted me to look into this. So I think it's 22% off or something, and $15, and there's a link on my community tab if you want to check that out. So let's go ahead and place this here. I'm going to close the lid. It snaps down nicely, and we're just going to check the speed consistency. So I'm pressing for power. LEDs are nice. They're like white. That's really cool. So power, and then I am pressing for 33, which is off. And now when I rotate this over, it'll spin. Oops. And I don't want it actually to touch the disc, so I'm going to have to hold that back a little bit so we can check the speed. Okay, I closed the blinds, I turned off the LED lights, and got the incandescent, or a reasonable facsimile thereof, on so we can see this. Right there is 33. That is amazingly pretty dang close. It's a hair slow, like a hair slow, but that'll be an inaudible amount of slowness. Going over to 45 now. And it's not too bad either. That's a hair fast. Again, we can adjust it with the trim pots, so no harm, no foul. But yeah, the speed is in the right ballpark, especially for 33. Now let's check the downforce, the tracking force. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take off the stylus guard, set that aside, and I'm going to turn the unit off, which will prevent the disc from spinning when we move the arm. And that's important because I've done it before. If the disc is on and you've moved that tone arm over and you've got this scale there, it goes flying, which we don't want to have happen. By the way, there's a little ball bearing, like a spring-loaded ball bearing under the arm, so it has a really nice snap when it goes into the rest position. All right, let's zero this bad boy out, and then we will place this on here. This stylus, or this cartridge, should track anywhere from 2.5 to 4 grams. Yeah, that's on the light side for this cartridge. Not bad. So yeah, no damage to your records. I feel like people feel that any non-standard record player is just going to damage their records by default unless they're proven otherwise, which is sad because that's not the case, but I have to mention it. All right. Our tests are complete in terms of that. We need to listen to some music on this thing. Now, does this have a built-in speaker? I don't know. Or is it just the Bluetooth and audio output? So for your listening enjoyment today, we will be partaking in Vinyl Moon Volume 83. This is one of the first ones I got. I just love the artwork. I mean, you can't beat it. It's so cool. Every month, it's like an art thing and a record, obviously. Look at all this. How this thing folds open into like all these different sections. Anyway, somewhere in here is a record, and I'm going to place it on the record player. And the idea with Vinyl Moon is it's all up-and-coming artists, so they make these mixtapes on record. And it's literally a mixtape on record, so that looks really, really good. So yeah, I guess we can put this on here to stabilize said record. And we can close the lid, power it on. This will be a 33 RPM disc, so I'm going to change the speed. And let's find out if there's any built-in speakers. I don't think so, because there's no volume control. Yeah, no, there's no volume control there. So what we're going to do is hook up some speakers. Okay, I don't know if this will work, but I've got this speaker from that HYM turntable, and I am going to try to use it. So I'm going to put this into pairing mode. Okay, it did pair to the record player. Good. Okay, excellent. So we should be able to play this. Now I'm going to do a direct feed sound test, and like I said, we're going to compare the Crosley to the Audio-Technica. And but I wanted just to do a very basic test here. Awesome. Listen to that. I'm just literally holding the speaker up to the mic. That is so cool. It's hard to reach over there from this angle. That is so dope. That is really, really cool. Manual turntable, it's not going to do anything automatically. It may have an auto stop at the end. Let's test that. So let's have it hit the run out groove and see if it auto stops. I'm thinking no. I'm thinking it's 100% manual, but let's find out. Reaches the end, and yeah, nothing. So fully manual, but very, very cool. All right, let's go ahead and get out the Crosley and do a little side-by-side. Okay, so I thought this would be fun. So there is the Audio-Technica Soundburger, and here is the Crosley. This is a model CR602A in comparison. Obviously, you know, very similar design aesthetic, and yeah, this was very fun to have, and it still is. It's got some issues, though, definitely compared to the Audio-Technica, which I'll point out, but there are some benefits to this as well. It's not a bad thing whatsoever. This is the first generation, and I've done a full review. You can go back and look at our full review of this. This is the first generation, which is the best version they did. It has a magnetic cartridge, et cetera, et cetera. The subsequent ones they did with different colors and things had a ceramic cartridge. They just weren't as good. So this one is better than the newer version of the Crosley. But I'm going to go ahead and set this back here because we've already looked at it. But I wanted to show you this again in comparison. So controls are similarly located, also silver. We've got a mechanical on and off switch, a mechanical speed switch, and a volume control because this unit has a built-in speaker, which I think is good, and I wish the Soundburger did. Obviously, this speaker, anything that would fit in here, isn't going to be the best speaker in the world, but it'll give you something to reference. Like if you just wanted to use it to reference your audio, you know what I mean? Just to have something to hear. October 2010. These are out. These are, you know, long since discontinued. The batteries are just, instead of a rechargeable battery, it uses like just double A's right there. It does have a cool feature that's not present on the Soundburger, in that it has an FM transmitter built in. You can actually transmit FM. Now, consumer electronics were doing this a bit pre-Bluetooth. And this one frequency selects between 88.1 megahertz and 89.9 megahertz, depending on your spectrum and where you're located. So that is kind of a cool feature. It doesn't have Bluetooth. That one does. Interesting, it's got a wall hook. I don't think yeah, there's no wall hook or anything on that. The idea of hanging a turntable on a wall is bizarre to me, but also there is a speed control or speed adjustment trim pots right on the motor itself. So yeah, so how does this thing open up? I forget. Oh yeah, the latch is up here. Same idea, we've got the tone arm that goes over here. The exact same idea for a spring-loaded ball bearing to snap the tone arm in. Very similar rubber piece there. Here's a huge difference. So the platter on this is just plastic. It's a light plastic, and this uses a platter, and then there's a pulley sub platter thing too, just like the Soundburger, but it's just wow and Flutter City, unfortunately. So anywho, and even though that's a red tip cartridge and stylus, that is actually a moving magnetic. It's a Groove Tool clone. I think it's a, what is that? It's a Sanyo clone. So that is a magnetic cartridge as well. And on the back here, this one has a line output, a headphone jack, 9-volt power supply, and USB. You can use a USB turntable, fabric strap, the poor man's Soundburger, perhaps. But yeah, interesting to see them in comparison. I still think it's fun, and I'm definitely going to keep this as well too. This is good for like down and dirty playback of, you know, discs that, you know, just for the, it's just a fun device. It's also a good way to generate an FM signal if you want to test a radio out. All right, let's go ahead and do a direct feed with the Soundburger. Okay, without any further ado, let's go ahead and do a sound test. If you want to put your headphones on, now would be a good time. And I did a little test before I filmed this to make sure that the audio would work as connected, because usually I have to use a headphone amplifier in between the line output device and my recorder, but I didn't need to for this. I did have to turn the volume down quite a bit because this can't handle true line level. So this was outputting a level that was compatible, and so I was able to omit that step. So yeah, we're going to be listening to a direct feed of the Soundburger with the Audio-Technica 3600L, battery-operated Bluetooth, very portable, shoebox-size turntable. All right, my friends, and that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this show. It was a blast putting it together for you. Link down below. Of course, it's a thumbs up. It sounded good. It sounded fantastic. I also played some 7-inch records off camera. Everything sounded good on it. In fact, I spent the whole day listening to music on it. It was fantastic. Anyway, my friends, that's going to do it for today. So happy record hunting, and we will see you next time.